Good morning, dear viewers. It's a Sunday morning. It's snowing outside. It's a beautiful winter day out there. I have little lettuce seedlings that have come up and are growing on, and I need to pot those up. I need to get them in something bigger. So I've got my soil mix all finished. To what I did the other day, which was mostly cocoa coir and a little bit of compost, potting soil, whatever. I've added some more of that potting soil and a little bit more perlite. So gives it a little bit more drainage, keeps it from compacting, perlite does. And it needs a little bit more nutrients now at this stage, so because they're not just germinating anymore. There are some in here that haven't germinated, so I will leave those where they are, and we'll see what happens. So I am going to use my trusty garden spoon to see if I can get these little tiny things out of the little tiny containers. Let's see. So join me for potting up lettuce seedlings today. So these 200 count seed cells are new to me. So I have not actually ever pulled a seedling out of one of these. So I've got, these are prize head. They germinated nicely. I should just be able to scoop this out. So here's the little top seedling, and if I can flip it over, we got roots. All right, I'm gonna make a little spot in here. See if I can get it in there. Oh, it's crumbling. In you go. Yay! I might water these and then come back. Okay, let's see if this is a little better. Yes. Yay! All right. Wee little roots. In they go. Okay. One more. There we go. So I didn't think about this before, but I did 5 seeds, but each of these is a 6 cell. So I do have one little Aunt May over here. So I think I'll just scoop her up and put her in here. In you go. In you go, little Aunt May. Okay. All right, let's find our, what do we did? We did prize head. So I'm gonna, because I cut these specifically for this tray, I'm gonna make new tags as I write up. So there's the Aunt May. I'm gonna turn it backwardsy. Excuse me, little plant. There we go. here. Of course, I got them all mixed up again. There it is. Okay. Hopefully that'll make sense. This is the Aunt May, and the rest of these are Prize Head. Looking good, huh? All right. So I want to do this first. Let's see. Let me find my red romaine. Those will be the next couple. Okay, holes are made. Lettuce is one of the plants that you can, if they get a little leggy, like if you get a really long stem, see, if you get a really long stem, you can bury it a little deeper. So let's see if I can do that. Probably not. Oh, come on. Ugh. All right. This is a little different than the usual pricking out I do, because usually I just hold it by the leaf and get the roots and plop it in like that. So it's a little different. I judged too much soil, I think, in each of my 6 cells, but I'll get the hang of it. Make sure it's nice and the hole is nice and big here. Okay. Okay, red romaine. Look. Pretty, huh? And it goes. Okay, so these are all red romaine. Actually, do I want to do it? I think I want to do it like I did the other one. I'll put that here for all of those. And I need one of something else. Don't know yet. I'll think on what goes in this one hole and leave it for now. So red romaine is done, transferred. And let's move on to my marble. Come here, little leaf. There we go. All right. I will work on the rest of these and come back to you shortly. All right, these tatsoi greens are the last ones that I'm going to do today. I've got these 5 over here. These are the Great Lakes, but they're still pretty small, so I'm going to wait a couple of days before I transfer those. So some of these tatsois have 1 per cell, and some of them have several. So I thought I would show you what I'm doing about that. Also, some of these are really leggy. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So we'll figure it out together. Let's do this leggy guy first. All right, so what I'm going to do is plant it deeper, if I can. Come here, little guy. All right, so I'm going to pop him out of his little cell. I'm gonna knock off some of the soil. That way I can get the root down a little lower. So now it looks like that. Okay. So that root will go down, down, down. Okay, and we'll see if this little guy corrects itself. Arugula is pretty forgiving, so. And then later when I go to actually plant this in the ground, I'll plant this whole stem down in the ground. I've got this tray here for the excess soil. All right, so let's do this one that's got 3. All right, so I'm gonna pull this guy out carefully. Okay, why are y'all tangled? Okay, come on, come on, come on. Let go of your friends. There we go. All right, so we've got 3 in there. I'm just gonna separate them. I'm gonna loosen the soil a little bit. You only want to hold the leaf. This is the first leaf. Oh, they are good. They are good and connected. Okay. And when you are, well, there you go. Use gravity. So there's 1. Let's just lay that down for a second. Oh, I bent the stem on that one. If you pull horizontally, they separate better. Okay, so you see not a lot of soil, so it'll go in my little hole better. Down, down, down. And I'm going to try to get some of the stem in the hole. Wasn't able to do much, but all right, now I'm going to put a second one in here. Okay. Now let's do this little one. Okay. In it goes. So this one is a little easier to get down lower. Here we go. All right. I'm gonna get some of the soil off here, just gently. You don't ever want to press on the stem. If you break the stem or bend the stem, plant's done. So we want to try not to do that. I'll lift her out. Try to untangle. There we go. So here we are. I'm going to try to separate our little people from each other. I want to hold the leaf, not the stem, and pull horizontally. Hold the leaf, pull horizontally, and it should just release. They should just release from each other. If they're tangled and they're holding, then you want to just, you know, put it down for a moment and try from a different angle. Okay, in she goes. Okay. I'm not sure that one's going to survive, so I'm going to see if I can put an additional one in here, just in case. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's see if I can separate these two. Oh, all right, in goes one. Down, down. And, excuse me, little guy. Okay, there we go. And I need to make another tag for these tatsuis. All right, now I can breathe for a moment. Okay, these next ones should be more straightforward because there's only one in each. I am going to try to put some of them a little deeper. All right. All right, let me show you what I'm leaving in here. Okay, there's one here. This one hasn't germinated. I don't think it will, but I might as well wait. These crisp mints, I haven't had any germination from. The Aunt May, we had one germinate. It looks like maybe there's one tiny little one right there. The Great Lakes here, I just want to let them get a little bigger. We got 5 germinated. No slow bolts whatsoever. And no Apollo arugula whatsoever. We've got several small sorrels. Well, those are perennials, so they take a little longer. And the spinach also tends to take a little longer. So none of the gigantes have germinated, and only like a couple of the Bloomsdale. These are spinaches. The thymes are really small. I can leave them. Their roots aren't going to grow so fast that they can't stay here for a little bit. And the rosemaries, they're not quite ready. Got a couple of rosemaries germinating. but mostly they're not. There's a little green one back there. And I've got one nice full tray over here with lettuces, predominantly lettuces, and then these arugula. And sorry, these arugula and these tatsuis. So now I have to water and put them back under the lights. This year I'm putting the smallest amount of BT in my water on occasion. This is a bacteria that attacks larvae and caterpillars. So I'm only using it indoors, at least, you know, broadly, like in the water. And it's mostly to control fungus gnats. So that's why my water's a little bit cloudy. I put just the splash of it in here. All right, so moving the water. Okay, I'm gonna settle the soil right around the plant. Come on, little guy. Okay. Oh, yeah. The idea is try not to knock them over. Well, it's not all that easy when they're so leggy. Maybe don't do leggy plants. I know, I could do better, huh? Okay. So careful, careful. So this firms up the soil just a little bit around the plant so I don't, you know, knock it over so much. If I had a little mister, that would be great. But I don't have a little mister, so we do what we can with what we've got. Riveting footage, I'm sure. Oh, I knocked it over. Okay, so now that I've gotten that done, I'm gonna give it a more broad spray. And then anything I knock over, I will put back upright. All right, let's see if I can stand these guys back up here. This should be fine. Chaos going on out there. I see. Let's prop that little guy up. Okay. There we go. This one, so little. Okay. Those are fine, those are fine. Basically, you don't want them like stuck to the soil. They'll mostly correct on their own. But as long as they're sort of free moving and not stuck, they'll be all right. Okay, those are all okay. All right, I think I may put the humidity dome back on top of this, but there is a bunch of, bunch of standing water down there because I put too much in. So I think I'm going to deal with that if I can. Oh yeah, there's way too much water in there. Let me set this down. One thing I wanted to do before is use this. This is a wicking fabric. Okay, I used this last year when I went out of town to help keep things watered. And I am going to be putting these in my seedling mats. Okay, they will absorb a bunch of the water, and then as needed, the soil of the where the plants are will just take up just what it needs. So I'm going to let that get good and wet. See, there's still standing water in there. I really did put too much in there. So I'm going to water the plants with that. All right, let me dump this water. Okay. Pardon the arrow. So now it's wet, but there's no standing water in the bottom. This is good and wet. So when I make the connection between the bottom of the tray, which there are of course little open holes in the bottom, to the wicking mat, that will allow the soil to pull up water as needed. So when this soil starts to get a little drier than the mat, they will pull up water. All right. Our plants are in. Humidity dome back on. And back under the lights. That's the lettuce potted up. Join me in the next one.